Hey, this is Carrie with a quick little honest video review of the Instant Chemistry Relationship Kit. I'm so excited to test this out. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. I'm not just saying it, but we are honestly so genuinely happy together. I think that this is gonna come back really strongly if it matches what I feel in my relationship and what my husband feels. So let's hope. But the way that this relationship kit works is pretty unique. It's actually part DNA and part a psychological exam. Exam is too harsh a word. It was a questionnaire online. And so I'm going to unbox this. I'm going to do the little swabby thing. My husband's going to do it off camera because he's not part of this video review. And then I'm so excited to go over the results and to kind of share my thoughts on if I think that this matches my reality, if I think that it has, interesting insights that are helpful in my own life, and just kind of how this kit works. So I'm pretty excited and let's get into it. So inside the box, unboxing it is not tons of fun because it's mostly just paperwork and it comes with a little swab. The instructions are really clear, easy to deal with. You're just going to choose a swab to envelope. You go online and kind of register this kit to activate it, which I've done. Then you're going to collect your DNA with a swab and then return it, and then that's it. You'll get your results. So swab it is. Close. Now it's my husband's turn. And this is probably already assumed, but a nice thing about this kit, obviously it comes with the prepaid return label and even the mailing bubble inside the original packaging. So it's really easy to take that little sample. It's in an envelope right now. I'll put it in another envelope and then I put that into a mailer and that will ship off to the company. So I'm so excited to get our results back pretty soon. And let's just skip over to that. All right, I'm back. Our love manuals, our results have come back now. Really excited. It didn't take very long to get them back. There was a little delay on my end just from where I dropped off my parcel to get shipped back. That was my fault. It took about 7 days, maybe 8 days to get the results back from when I shipped it back. To getting the results digitally. So I'm really excited. I haven't looked through them. I just have them kind of queued up on my screen right now. So I'm really excited to go through this and look at it. Honestly, like I mentioned before, maybe I didn't say it enough, today is Valentine's Day, so I better say it loud and proud. I am so happily married. I love my husband to bits. He is my high school sweetheart and I am absolutely we are still in love. We are still very happy. I feel like you can't really say that because then it's that's when something goes wrong in your relationship. But honestly, doing this for us wasn't something where I was looking for some genetic explanation of why I'm not happy or some, deeper scientific strategy to help us be happier in our marriage. That's not it. I was just really excited to test this out just because I think that DNA and genetics and how our physical makeup impacts who we are as people. I think that's really fascinating. But for us, I'm not personally looking for anything relationship saving or anything. So that's just my little disclaimer. For me, it's just kind of interesting and I'm really excited to go through it. So before I dive in, I'm just gonna include a couple quick clips. I'm not obviously gonna have you watch me read this whole thing. That's not interesting. The other thing I forgot to mention so far is that they have a 199 page introduction document. That is a lot. I did skim through it. I did not read it. I didn't. I started reading some stuff and I didn't really think it was that interesting. I also didn't think it was that helpful to me. And I really appreciate all of the references that they include. If I was really interested in this, you could obviously go down a rabbit hole of research and really dive in to see what makes up, the molecular structure and why is it that 40% of chemistry between two people can be attributed to your genes. Just read that, that's interesting. You would find all that out and you could really dive in and science yourself up if that's what you're interested in. But for me, I'm really just gonna focus on looking at my results here. So our neurogenetics, apparently my husband and I are super duper in sync. We only have one, the dopamine one isn't the same effect. I'm curious about the effect. So in this, I don't know what this means necessarily. So it says passionate, builder, thinker, worrier, and I'm assuming that must be how you respond to the world around you based on physical neurogen. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's interesting that my husband and I both got passionate for our serotonin transporter, meaning that I can't read this, have a strong response to emotional changes, which I don't think we do. I would strongly disagree with that. I think that we are not emotionally charged, emotionally driven people. It's very surprising. The dopamine is what we have neurogenetic incompatibility for, or I don't know if it's incompatible, at least we don't have the same kind of result. It does totally make sense in that case. He is super extroverted, and I am super introverted, so that makes sense that we are, these individuals tend to be well-advised, more sensible, and have good judgment. That's right. It says that we are both thinkers with our oxytocin, which means we have a more difficult time interpreting someone else's emotions. That's definitely true for me. I don't agree with that for Eric at all. He's like one of the most, in my opinion, he's very skilled with emotions. He's very, very good at reading people's emotions and like giving them what they need for that. He's very emotionally skilled. And it says that we both have lower emotional resilience to negative events as the worrier in contrast to the warriors. It's interesting how that says that it's linked to like reading comprehension. I don't know. Some of the things I'm reading here make me feel like the like, how do I explain this? The fact that they think that this neurogenetic gene means that I'm good at reading comprehension and working memory, but that also means that I worry and have higher anxiety due to negative life events. Like those two things do not seem related to me at all. And so the fact that they're like putting them in the same like explanation makes me believe it a little bit less in a weird way. I hope that makes sense. That's probably me being too like, too analytical, but I don't know. We'll move on to the next one. All right, so looking at our psychology, we don't match a ton. But I think we do in real life so well. So that's what's really interesting to me. So if I haven't explained it, part of this kit is like multi-pronged. So in addition to genetic and DNA, I don't know if I'm overstating this. I think it's DNA. There's like 10 things in your sample that they test, but I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. So there's 10 things on like the physical, biological side, and then there's also a psychology test that we took, which was 26 questions. It was pretty easy. Tests that judged like our dominance versus submissive and social versus intimacy on like a 4-pillar scale. And so what was I gonna say? It's interesting because I feel like we balance each other really, really well. But maybe that's why. I don't know. This also shows me being way more social than I am. I am like such an introvert. I don't know. I'm really surprised that I scored more than halfway on the social scale. That doesn't seem right to me. The other thing that was hard about the the psychology test is just that I didn't think that the questions really got reality. Like one of the questions, for example, was about if we were away on a vacation, we both realized that the accommodations weren't good. Like one question was, would I go to ask the manager for a new room? And then the other question was like, would I expect my husband to go ask for a new room? And for both of us, obviously, it was the same quiz. And so knowing my husband, for sure, this is kind of where I think it doesn't really capture who we really are. He just doesn't care. Like he's such an easygoing guy that even if he really thought that the room was gross, he wouldn't go ask for a new one just because it doesn't bother him that much. Even if he was unhappy with it, he wouldn't want to make like the store or the hotel clerk feel bad or whatever, like that would be enough of a deterrent. He just wouldn't do it. And so we would just stay there and that would be fine. Or if I decided that I was really upset with it and I went up to the manager and said something, he would also be okay with that. Like that's totally fine to him. It just doesn't matter either way. And so he's just so easygoing. And so to answer that question, it was like, would he go to the hotel clerk? No. But that's not because he's submissive or not a dominant person. It's just because he doesn't care about that and that just doesn't bother him. There's another question like that I can't think of where I answered it and I was like, yes. I rated it like really high. I was like, technically yes, in that situation that's true, but that's not how I feel in general. And so I felt like the quiz was too short and too focused on like very specific situational things to not get like a true sense of my personality. Because looking at this chart, the more I look at it for both of us, I really just don't think that it matches us enough. I think that we are more opposite on the scales, which I think is why we get along so well, is because we really do like balance each other out in that. He's super duper social. I'm very introverted and just by myself. I'm a super dominant person and he's dominant in that he's not afraid to do anything. He's super like that, but I don't think either of us are submissive really, but he only does it for things he truly cares about. And that's not obviously something that's on this pillar. I don't know. I just think that's really nuanced and this is just kind of a very superficial look at things in my opinion. And like in terms of relationships, I also thought it was fascinating that when I was reading the background information for this actually started as like primarily for single people to try to either like know or I don't know, I didn't really understand. Either to know yourself better, like genetically and whatever your predispositions, or maybe also to like weed out potential matches sooner. I didn't understand that entirely, so I thought that was really fascinating. But anyway, in terms of relationships, intimacy is a big, broad thing. Like I think of physical intimacy is very different than emotional intimacy. And like for my husband and I, emotional intimacy is so strong. And so on this chart, like seeing it halfway, it just feels too broad for us, knowing us so well. Again, maybe if you like were just initially dating someone, this would be a lot of really like eye-opening information. Because you would know in your ideal, maybe it's like in my perfect relationship, I would want like sky high intimacy. And for the other person, like maybe their ideal relationship would be all social, like lots of, community and family and like that's more important to them. And so you would know that up front that that's a big discrepancy. Because trying to just like apply this graph to what I know my life currently is and how happy I am with that, I just don't feel like the graph fits at all. All right, we've got a certificate of compatibility. We finally got there. I honestly want this to be at the top of the deck because I feel like I just got bogged down and I want just like numbers. So we have a scientific compatibility score of 72%. That's a solid C. Cool. I don't know. My personal like take on relationships is not that Eric and I are so, people think we're like super cynical, but we're not. Like we're in love. Okay, we're in love, we're realistic. I don't think that there's like a soulmate out there for anyone. I don't think that like, I don't know. I don't want to dive into this, but I think that this is part of my rationality for how I'm interpreting this. I think that with a person that you love and you have good things with, that you can make it something really, really perfect and special. And that I don't think that just because we got like a 72% on this and that there's someone potentially out there who's a 95% compatible with me, like I don't think that I would be happier with a 95% than I am with a 72% scientific compatibility. Just because I think that what you put into your relationship is like vastly more important than anything. I'm gonna say anything, even like, of course, the neurological, genetic, DNA, whatever, like those things are very subsurface, but even stuff like personality type, like I think that you can overcome all of those things just by committing to that person and making it work and really just like falling in love with them every day and truly. And so this is interesting. I don't even have thoughts yet. This is so interesting to me. I don't know. All right, this says it's almost impossible to get a 100% score. And I read something else somewhere that they actually haven't found a 100% biocompatibility. So we're less than the average, I guess. And now we're gonna go through the biocompatibility. You likely find your partner to be very attractive, I do, and you have a great physical relationship, yeah. If you and your partner also score strongly on the psychological assessment, you are in an uncommon, potentially very satisfactory relationship. Wouldn't it be devastating if you took this thing and you're actually so unhappy and like about to get a divorce, but all of your science says that you should be like just thriving? Would that not be fascinating? Oh man. This is good. It says if you scored low on your psychological assessment, taking some time to find shared interests such as new hobbies or activities you both enjoy are important to strengthen the bond you share. So it is nice that it kind of has some like relationship coaching tips almost like built into it, that like if things aren't working and here's like the science behind it, like here's some steps to make your actual day-to-day life a little bit better, which again, like I've explained, I think that that's the most important thing. But I mean, obviously I can't change my science. I can't change my genes. I can change how I like react to the world around me. Oh yeah, so this is because he's extroverted and I am introverted. Good balance. I concur. He's bringing me out of my shell a lot more and I calm him down a little bit. All right, so that's the end of our thing. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like the stuff that I've read either doesn't match me or I don't quite understand it, honestly. I definitely will read through it again. I probably should look up more of the sciencey stuff just because I feel like I just don't quite get it. Like it's not put into like real life terms well enough for me. I totally understand that they probably don't want to overstate things because obviously your DNA is just one very small part of who we are. It's technically building who we are, but I especially think of the nature versus nurture situation. I'm a nurture primary kind of thought, and so yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. I think it's fascinating and they give a lot of information, but I'm not quite convinced yet. I'm just not sure what to think yet. So I'm gonna keep thinking on it. I do think this would be really interesting if you were in the early stage of relationship and either maybe you wanted to like see a potential, I don't know, that'd be scary if you just started a relationship though and you're like, hey, take a DNA test for me. I don't know who this is like ideally targeted for. I think it's interesting. I really appreciate all the science behind it. I really appreciate that you could do a deep dive in this and they would like, it would be there for you to explore. Yeah, I'm mixed. I'm super duper mixed on this. So I'm going to settle on it. I'm going to think about it more, but right now it's just mixed for me. And like I mentioned, I think it's just because I don't really agree with most of the findings, and there aren't tons of findings. Like it's 10 or so of the genetic physical things and then the personality, psychocompatibility thing, which I've already explained the whole thing about, that I don't really agree with. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm so stuck on this right now. I'm literally just staring at it thinking like, what do I think? I'm trying to summarize this and I literally can't. I don't know what I think. All right, I think I've summarized the one teeny tiny little thing that I don't love necessarily. So I reread the brief from the company, and one thing that they said is that you can, the 3 main benefits. Understand what happens if behaviors may push your partner away. Absolutely, it's really important. Help your partner better understand what makes you tick, and then learn ways to keep your relationship from going stale. And I think that is where it's falling flat for me just a little bit, because I want a little more real life, like connected, not even just for how to like understand my results, but specifically like how, besides introvert, extrovert, I get that a lot. But some of the other ones, it was like for our neurocompatibility, our neurogenetics, we ranked like the same on 3 out of the 4 factors. So I'm curious, like why that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I honestly skimmed a heck of a lot of this document because it's a little over my head. And I will keep looking at it, but I want to know more like how they connect together. Like I would almost really appreciate a single document that goes side by side with both of us and explains like how, because I got A and he got B, what that means like between the two of us. And I'm already looking at them side by side, but I think it's that like comparison piece of the relationship element that's what's missing. And I really think that is where I'm like, I need something else. So that's it. That's my final thought. There we have it. The one little thing that I think is the one little thing that keeps like nagging in my brain. I just keep staring at this and I can't even like, yeah. Okay, I've wrapped this up so many times now. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Instant Chemistry. I did their relationship kit with the love manuals, of course, and then I also received the 191-page ebook, which gives background information into the science and all of the other stuff behind it, because there's a lot going on in this amazing chemistry, DNA, gene testing, whatever kit. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check it out for yourself.